Hello, everyone. Welcome to Across the Bifrost, the Mighty Thor podcast, where on each and every episode we explore the world of Marvel's Mighty Thor. I am one of your hosts, Ryan Doze, joined by my partner in comic book breakdowns, deep dives, really profound breakdowns of fantastical Thor stories. We had a really great time breaking down Mortal Thor number 11. We got a little bit of literary criticism at the end of that one. So if you want to hear us kind of go deep on an issue after you're done with this one, go check that one out. But today we are talking about what if Thor got Spider-Man's symbiote suit. This is a brand new what if one shot from Marvel Comics, written by, I'm going to say, friend of the show, Torunn Groenbekk, who did some issues on Thor way back when at the end of Donny Cates's volume. And Torunn is an absolute phenomenal creator, phenomenal writer, and one hell of a hang. if you're ever able to see her at a con or anything like that, just a riot of a person. But Eric, we are in the land of possibilities now with What If, and we knew this issue was coming for a while. We've been getting accustomed to symbiotes in our Thor stories and Thor characters in our symbiote stories. So what was your hype level for this one? And just what did you think about this going into the issue coming out?
Well, first off, I mean, I've got my tweed vest on and my blazer with the leather elbow patches. I'm ready to go. I'm in professor mode for this one. I'm just kidding. But no, we are getting used to, that's a really good point. We're getting used to seeing a lot of symbiote stuff mixed in with our Thor stuff.
Yeah,
and we're going to be seeing a lot more of that. But the hype level was high because, first of all, I love a Thor one shot. You know, we get these maybe like one a year, maybe two a year. They're sprinkled in, not a ton. And so it's always a treat to have something to look forward to, especially since in the main Thor title, our guy's kind of dead right now. So if you want to get that Thor fixed, this is a place that you can do it. So, and when we have a writer who has been at the helm of the Thor main title before, we know that Thor is in good hands and that she knows her way around the character as well. She's got a lot to say about Thor. And so, yeah, we can blast off into this what if. And the title was, I was like, where's the title? It's going down the side of the spine here.
Yeah.
Because it's a rather long what if title, but it gets you right to the
point. And this is taking place way back in the middle of the Battle World event where Spider-Man encountered the symbiote and it gave him the cool black suit. And, you know, that issue is kind of probably the most famous, like, what is it, number 8 or number 9 of that series? It's probably the most famous number 8 or number 9 in a series that I know of. But What If takes that Battle World story and it tweaks one major thing, that the symbiote did not bond with Peter Parker. The symbiote bonded with Thor and gave him a badass glow up. Like, he went to Hot Topic, picked out all new stuff, and he is completely decked out in this black and white suit mirroring the Venom symbiote suit. And we'll get into the artwork. We'll get into the story here now because this is a one shot. We don't really need a lot going into it. And we'll break it down after a quick synopsis. So this is What If Thor Got Spider-Man's Symbiote Suit, written by Torunn Groenbekk. Penciler Sergio Dávila, who is a personal favorite of mine, done several variant covers of Thor books and a beloved limited series. One of my favorite limited series of the last 10 years is Black Knight, Curse of the Ebony Blade, and he did all of the artwork for that. Could not love that series more. Plus, we've not really made this a secret on our podcast and the channel that Eric and I are both big Black Knight fans. So Sergio gave us fantastic artwork for Dane. Love that. Ari Jimenez did the inks. Brian Valenza did the colors, and lettered by VC's Joe Sabino, definitely a pod and channel favorite. This story starts off during Battle World, like I said, and we see Thor get connected to the symbiote. We get this fantastic suit. The Hulk helps Thor test out the suit, and apparently it is Hulk stab proof. Peter Parker is standing by to give his commentary on the situation, which is fantastic. I think Sergio draws a phenomenal Peter Parker here in these little short scenes we get with him. Uatu the Watcher is really the biggest help in these what if scenarios because Uatu fills in the gaps of the scenario from its how it actually happened and how it is happening in our new what if scenario. So just like in the original Battle World, we see the Avengers and the superheroes of Marvel conquer the Beyonder, and they set all things right. Thor is at the front of the group in this one, in the black suit with the white accents, looking very Venom-esque. And then we jump forward to what happens after. Thor returns to Asgard and immediately tells Heimdall that there is an attack on Midgard, and he feels drawn back there, drawn by this new entity that is inside him, that is working with him to make things right. He goes back to Midgard and he calls all the heroes with the Yallarhorn to Midgard to fight off some frost giants, but there's something more, there's something darker, there's something badder in the caves there. Loki and Sif are the ones to show up first for this battle, and Loki starts cracking jokes right away. He starts giving Thor the business immediately, and so does Sif. Sif also just will not let Thor will not let him feel comfortable with this new suit. They crack a few jokes at his expense, and then they get to fighting some frost giants. They decimate this group of frost giants coming out of the mountain, and Thor actually takes out a troll with the lightning from his hammer. We see the symbiote kind of start acting weird. It's attracted to Thor, but it's almost like it's willing him forward. It's willing him forward into the mountain, and they run after the frost giants coming out of the mountain. A few more of the heroes of Asgard show up. We get Balder, Hogun, Fandral, Volstagg, and Hildegard. They show up for the fight. Thor goes ahead of all of them into the mountain, and he runs into a symbiote dragon. The symbiote dragon design has always kind of just made me happy. It's just like a nightmare dragon. Love it. And Sergio's version of it, also fantastic. Thor is pulled down into this lair underneath the mountain, and wouldn't you know, if this is a symbiote story, who's the biggest bad we can bring into the story? It's Knull. So Thor and Knull have a face-off, and Knull talks down to the symbiote that is bonded with Thor. This leads to Loki being drawn into the cave. Loki creates a brief distraction. Knull gets hit with the hammer, frees Thor, and he's able to grab a hold of Knull and tosses him back into the void because he's Thor and he can do that stuff. The rest of the Warriors of Asgard fight off the symbiote dragons in a fantastic full-page spread for that. We go to Asgard a few days later. We see that we're celebrating, and there's a joke that we need to explain as well about the meaning of Knull in Scandinavian language that Torunn explained on her social media, which makes a lot of jokes in this comic a little clearer. But we also see that the hammer has been picked up by a now symbiote wielding Loki at the end of this issue. So potentially we are not done in this what if scenario. But Eric, that is the synopsis, the story as best as I could recall for the what if that we got. Your thoughts, where do you want to start with our discussion of this issue?
Very good. Well, did we actually explain the joke of the language?
We have not yet. Would you like to take a crack at it?
So this is something that goes back to the King in Black event and the run or the Knull appearances leading up to that. I think it's in Swedish. Knull, Knull, literally translates to like effing. Effing, so we don't have to bleep us on YouTube here. And Torunn obviously gets a huge kick out of that because she's got a mouth, which is just a delight.
The F word record on ATB is still held by that woman.
Yeah. And so she said on social media, she said she was so excited to get that joke into the Marvel, canon, into the Marvel stories, so that it is now living in here. So that's why they make such a big deal out of it on several pages. It's like, wait a second,
His name is
you're
what?
telling me it's his name is what? And I think it even gets a callback at the end with Volstagg repeating it. So that's why that's the joke, and that's why it's such a big deal. It was something of a to do
Yeah.
when the character's name was coming out. I want to go back maybe in order and just look at some of the little interesting bits here happening. So one thing was just this interesting little nugget where the Enchantress smells like morning dew and honey. So she's off panel being talked about by Hulk, and we know that she's in the Marvel Secret Wars event of the time, and so that's where they're referencing when Hulk would have interacted with her to be able to tell what she smells like. But she smells like morning dew and honey. So the explanation is that the magic smells like morning dew, and that honey is made from mead. I just thought that was a really interesting bit of character information. And actually, in the Marvel universe, magic a lot of times smells like sulfur or like brimstone or something
Yeah.
kind of acrid. And so to have this very pleasant magic smelling like morning dew is kind of a nice twist on it. Very, very, very good. Very good.
It definitely fits with Amora being alluring and
She's very
inviting.
alluring, so she has, maybe the pheromones to go with it, with her alluring scent.
Crafty lady.
When Thor gets the suit from a device, a contraption that basically it's under the guise of like, this is going to help fix your costume, or this is going to be a new costume, or it's going to be an upgrade for your costume. That is loyal to what happens in Secret Wars, because when Peter Parker gets the suit, it is not presented as this is an alien entity
Yeah.
that is from another planet. It very much is just a cool suit that he can wear. And all of that alien stuff is added later on. And so this is just kind of sort of like beyonder tech of like, oh, well, somebody would just have tech that's so advanced. They could have whatever you think of in your mind could then be sort of produced, kind of like a Star Trek like replicator kind of a thing. It just makes whatever you want it to. And so, but in this case, he's got the symbiote in him, and Heimdall clocks it right away, where he's like, what's that thing inside you? Like, he can see it immediately when he comes to the Bifrost. I liked how they traveled by Bifrost in this issue.
Right.
Totally different than any other time we've seen, because it's a what if, and so they can kind of just do whatever they want with it. But it was they're traveling. Actually, speaking of Star Trek, they're kind of traveling like the, come on, Trekkie, what's the term called when there is the transponders or the teleporters, or
I mean, teleporter? I think
it's doing that kind of effect, because there's a little bit of a dust cloud, but there's this prismatic vertical lines when they basically teleport by Bifrost, instead of being whooshed down the rainbow slide like they are in some other versions of it. So I thought that was a really nice visual.
Officially in I just looked it up. Officially in Star Trek it's a transporter. So
transporter.
We are using Star Trek transporter technology to get Thor back to Midgard. But I do agree with you.
It looks kind of like it. I think it's good.
It really does. And even like a little bit of like how they make the Bifrost look in the first Thor film. How it looks more like light, hitting the ground, as opposed to, this giant cartoonish rainbow coming out of the sky and then just like sliding down.
It's more prismatic rainbow. Yeah. I like the Uatu does give some foreshadowing, because he said, I turn my gaze to the earth and the god hiding beneath its surface. And so we know there's more down there than just Jotuns. And so we're going to find out that there's a bigger bad, obviously. The symbiote I thought was really cool, because it's very childlike at first, and it's really experiencing a lot of things for the first time. And so the symbiote, they describe it as feeling the warmth of friendship, because the symbiote doesn't know what a friend is, but it knows that the host, Thor, is feeling these warm feelings for his friends when he sees them arrive. And so this symbiote is going to be experiencing a lot of emotions and things for the first time. It feels guilty, and it feels regret later on when they get captured. It feels anger, and it feels excitement, and it's pushing Thor to kind of commit more violent acts, but it doesn't know right from wrong. It just, it's sort of leaning into these different experiences that it's having for the first time.
Immature. It's very infantile.
It's as I get my tweed jacket here, it's the id. It is very based in the, it's not the higher elevated consciousness. It is the id.
I'm just waiting for you to start packing a pipe as you start talking about this, and then just like chewing on the end, like, yes. I I just want to jump in here, Eric, because when Sif and Loki show up, I think this feels like one of the moments in the issue where Torunn is having a lot of fun because Loki and Sif start jabbing about the suit. And
Yes.
Sif says, like, "Are you going through a midlife crisis, Your Highness?" Loki asks if he's going to join the Night's Watch, which, like, if that's an archaic Thor reference, I don't know it. I'm just thinking, like, has Loki in this story seen Game of Thrones? Like, that would be my favorite version of that.
Yeah.
But there is a joke. Loki's joke is so good when he says, "You look like someone who spends his evenings writing his manifesto." Bravo,
That was my
Torunn.
favorite one. You look like you gatekeep sadness.
Keep sadness.
You look
So
like you have
good.
you look
You're
like you have
sad.
strong
I'm
opinions
sad.
about fonts.
You look like you get upset about font. And I love that is the point where Thor's just like, and I've heard enough. Like the fonts talk was too much. But then Loki takes it a step further. Thor's annoyed at this point. Loki says, "You look like a dark elf," and he's like, "Okay, I'm done. I'm done." And he the symbiote, because what Eric was saying, like the symbiote is immature. It's youthful in the way that it responds, much like a young Thor, to be perfectly honest. And
Yeah.
he hits Loki and he says, "Oh no, that was the thing," but also like it's doing what I want it to do, and vice versa. So like, yeah, I guess it was me. I do like that Loki gets a few jabs in here, but Thor just kind of quickly he moves on because Loki suspects something is up, and he's willing to follow along.
And it's a good thing he does because he ends up throwing a dagger that is a diversion that gives Thor a chance to call his hammer, which is a dilemma for him because the symbiote does not go well with thunder. Symbiotes in Marvel have a classic weakness to loud sounds and to fire. And so they're currently like suspended over fire. And so if he adds to that a thunder crack, right, that's going to push it over the edge. Also, in the King in Black event, we learned that symbiotes are mildly weak to lightning as well. That lightning is a fairly good attack. Because I remember Storm and Thor were sort of key players in trying to keep the symbiote dragons at bay at first.
Yeah.
And so we've got fire, lightning, and loud sounds. That's a mix where this very juvenile symbiote is not going to be able to survive this. And so I think from Thor's perspective, he thinks, basically free. He's like, I can get out of this. I can do this, but it's not going to go well for the symbiote. And the symbiote kind of makes the sacrifice and is like, hey, you've got to do it so that Knull doesn't take his god powers and turn it into a sword. I made a note here for some of the sensory language that we get from Torunn, and I just thought it was so good that it smells like melted metal and burning soil. Just that idea of burning soil just is so descriptive. I just love that.
I agree. There's, along with the literary descriptions, I think this battle with the Frost Giants is where Sergio does a lot of his best work in the issue. The 2-page spread where we have Thor being overtaken by the Frost Giants, that is probably my favorite artwork in the issue, because we just see Thor being subsumed by these adversaries, but then the symbiote is kind of wisping off of him. And in the next page, we see Thor respond to Sif being confronted by a troll with this loud, crack of lightning down on them. In every panel, we see the symbiote kind of wisping off of him. And I just think it was well done. The inking is great. This was one of the parts where I was like, I just want more Sergio artwork in circulation on a regular basis.
Yeah. It kind of reminded me of going back to that Black Knight run where he gets what's the form he takes when he's like glowing red and like he's like the blood wraith or something.
Gosh. Yeah. Oh, blood wraith. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. So that reminds me, the symbiote and the lightning wisping off of Thor here was very reminiscent of Dane Whitman in his blood wraith form, which was just such a cool, again, it's really hard to to zero in on a new kind of an effect, because if you're not careful, everything's just going to look like Super Saiyan, right? So you have to, if you're going to draw some kind of like a wispy, glowing force, I feel like he's got this sort of like signature style where he can do it, where it doesn't look too busy on the page. You can still sort of see exactly what's happening, but it gives that energy around it, like the little tendrils that come off. I just think it's so cool.
At the end of this battle, we see the rest of our Asgardian warriors show up in that same prismatic transporter effect. I love the kind of the heroic on the cliff group shot we get of everybody. I think everybody looks fantastic. This is one of my favorite panels of Sergio doing Loki, because we see Loki do the Asgardians to battle. He's got his knives out, and
Hmm.
I it's very seldom that we see Loki being the one that leads Asgardian warriors into battle against frost giants. If anything, it's the other way around. But I really liked Loki in the middle part of this issue, being the captain, being the champion, going into battle against his I guess his kin, because he's Laufey's son. So yeah, against his canonical kin. I liked Loki in this issue a lot.
Well, and Loki in this issue is really one of the Asgardians. He's not Thor's mortal enemy. It says the symbiote feels warmth when Thor sees his friends, and that's when Loki and Sif arrive. So, aside from razzing him a little bit about his new dark look, he doesn't really do anything villainous in this. He is still kind of a sneak, and he's plotting and sneaking around, but he's not, he's not the Loki, the god of evil. It doesn't look like, until he gets the symbiote power, and we wonder what he's up to now that the
Yeah.
symbiote looks like it's retained the ability to lift Mjolnir. So the symbiote became worthy when it was bonded with Thor, and then also probably when it made the sacrifice at the end there.
Which is very interesting. Like, that's why I'm just like, oh, once we got to the end, I was like, maybe we're not done, or maybe that's like a just an open-ended thing where it's like, and would you know more? It's like, well, yeah, we would know more. We would like to know more. When it comes to Null and the symbiote dragons, Eric, what did you think about Null being our big conflict here? The symbiote dragons pulling Thor down into this I don't know, like Temple of Doom looking thing. This setup that they've got. The third act of this issue.
Yeah.
What did you think about that?
Null looks amazing. He looks
Yes,
incredible. He's got his dragon looking over his shoulder. He's
that's the
somewhat
best dragon in the issue.
it looks incredible. He's somewhat like backlit. He looks menacing, but he also looks like a knight. He's like got his armor on. And Null is somebody that I've actually fallen more in love with the more recent comics, as opposed to in King in Black. He's just a villain. I mean, he's just this maniacal, god of the void. But now we're seeing more and more of him with his glow up into the void, where he has the light power, and we're seeing him versus Thanos and stuff in the modern comics. So it's always nice to plug him in, because he's an elder god. He is a definitely always a high tier level threat. He raises the stakes of any story, and it does seem like the symbiote dragons are kind of at odds with the symbiotes themselves. They're not quite the same species. The symbiote says it is feeling fear for the first time when it's sort of confronting the dragon. So I've always thought that was interesting with the symbiotes and the symbiote dragons. They're kind of all in that symbiote stuff, but I forget what it was from the Donny Cates Venom run. I feel like the dragons were sort of like the guard dogs essentially with the symbiotes.
Yeah, they're not grunts. They're much
Yeah.
more like they're kind of like that inner circle of bad guys. I don't know why this is the thought that I have. It's like if Null is Emperor Palpatine, they are the royal guards in the right in the red cloaks, and
Mm.
the regular symbiotes are like stormtroopers. Whether that makes sense to anybody else, I don't know. But that's how I kind of always thought about that, and especially in King and Black, because the dragons are the ones that get sent after heroes, and they're the ones that are capable of taking out some of the more capable humans that Null has a beef with.
Yeah. See how knowledgeable we are about symbiotes now? This is great. We know all this
I,
symbiote
I will
stuff.
say, for being a pod in a channel that has not made our we have not made our real our nest egg, our bread and butter is not symbiotes, venom, anything like that. We have interacted with a lot of symbiotes lately, and we're gonna do that even more with Queen in Black coming this summer. And I think we should talk about that a little bit towards the end, Eric, because this does feel like a what if that fits with where the summer is going for
Yeah.
our heroes and the symbiotes.
It's clearly related, right? This is not just an accident that we're going to have some Thor and symbiote crossover tie-in fun stuff. That's the appetizer for
Yeah,
this idea of, hey, Venom fans, hey, Knull fans, hey, Thor fans, we're all going to come together, and you need to like get a little bit more acquainted with this world so that when we throw a bunch of crazy Knull versus Hela stuff at you, you're going to know
right.
what the heck's going on.
This is the soup and salad course, and we are enjoying it.
Yes.
It's lovely. I am ready to sink my teeth into like 616 stuff, but the what if stuff is fun. We come to the conclusion of the issue with Loki, like Eric said, throwing the dagger, making the distraction. Thor gets a hold of Mjolnir, and he lights the place up. And the symbiote suit is gone now because of what you said earlier, Eric. The combination of all the different factors of what symbiotes don't like and what they really can't put up with. Thor grabs Knull and takes him off on a trip while the symbiote kind of gets up close and personal with Loki. And Loki says, "Oh, hello there." And kind of like he was making friends with this little pet symbiote. The
Mm-hmm.
full page of the Warriors of Asgard fighting the dragons is fantastic. I just love it. It's so epic. It feels like a old fantasy poster of just warriors kicking dragon ass. We see Thor throw Knull back into the void. I love that that's just a thing Thor can do. Again, to an elder
Yeah.
god. And then
Well, and he's done it recently to Tyrannos, right?
yeah,
You can just open up a rift and throw elder gods into the void. Why not?
yeah. It's it's one of the things we talked about with Mortal Thor 11. The power level of Thor really like if he's Thor all the time and there's no drawback to it, there's really not a lot of things that can come up against him and pose a threat to him. And we see that expertly shown here when Torunn has Thor throw Knull of all people, of all beings, just back into the void. There you go. Timeout. The celebration in Asgard has a fantastic vibe to it. I love a good feasting opportunity in Asgard.
Mm-hmm.
Usually that's where artists can have like a lot of fun, just showing people kicking back, relaxing. Mead, of course, a giant turkey for Volstagg to enjoy. But then the thing with Loki at the end, Eric, is there anything you want to say about the culmination, the little epilogue that we got here at the end of our What If issue, our fun one-off jaunt with the symbiotes in the world of Thor?
Well, this is, we get a venomized Loki,
Yeah.
which we've seen Loki with the All Black before. I don't know if we've ever seen a venomized Loki. I know they're similar, right? But like
Yeah.
this one is slightly different. It's a little bit more armor-like.
Right.
And he's holding Mjolnir because in this world, the symbiote's giving him that power. And so would be interesting to see if this is the kind of Loki that would go dark and would take a dark turn and would kind of become a, God
Yeah.
Slayer kind of Loki. Or if this, because, we haven't really seen this Loki be villainous. And so maybe he becomes corrupted by the id, by his underlying impulses from this juvenile symbiote that can't
Yeah.
help itself. So
I think this would be a great, and hey, like maybe we never get a culmination of that little tease at the end. Maybe it's just a tease and it's there for that potential conversation of like, oh my gosh, what would this Loki do with that power? And like, how could Thor get Mjolnir back if the symbiote is worthy? There are a lot of different, like, interesting what if questions attached to that. With symbiotes about to become such a big deal in definitely our episode, output, and with our big summer event, Queen in Black, with Hela being the Queen in Black, being the queen of the symbiotes right now, we're going to get a lot of different Thor one shots. We're going to get some Thor characters showing up in limited series. Eric, is there anything that, anything we just need to say here at the end about where we're at in these two worlds kind of merging as we shut down the episode?
You can blame Al Ewing for all of that, I think, because I think Al Ewing's been
I would
wanting
gladly blame
to.
him for all this awesomeness.
He wants to play with the symbiote toys and the Thor toys at the same time, and
Yeah.
he's been planting this seed since way back in the Donny Cates run when he had a couple issues with Venom crossing over way back when Venom was dealing with all the Meridius stuff. And we got the Hellhammer that he is formed from the Prometheum. I mean, it goes the Venom lore goes deep with Al Ewing. And Al Ewing is, the master of deep lore, and also has been sort of reinventing the Venom run post Donny Cates and really just running with it. So it's a lot of fun to see when somebody clearly is so passionate about a run, a character's world. To me, the Venom stuff almost doesn't even feel Spider-Man related anymore. It feels like its own separate thing. I think the Venom lore is so fleshed out now. It really feels like it's unrelated to the web swinger in New York. I mean, it's like nobody's swinging on webs anymore. People are traveling different dimensions in cosmic space and reality. Right. And it really is not a Spider-Man thing right now. And I'm fine with that because there's so much to explore there. And Venom is such a popular concept, not just a character, but this whole symbiote thing has really blown up in the past, 5 years or so. Not that it wasn't before. I mean, it's been popular since it was created, right? But
I agree with you wholeheartedly that Venom has become its own thing and its own little brand, like for something to be venomized or something to have a symbiote attached to it. Knull is a cosmic level villain that is a Venom villain. And I think that is incredibly special. I'm excited to see how this Queen in Black series balances the Hela being a major Thor adversary and Knull being a the main Venom villain. I'm interested to see how those balance each other. And we're going to get a Thor one shot. We're going to get a Hela one shot. We're going to get Defenders of Light and Dark with Beta Ray Bill. There's going to be a lot of crossing over. I could not be more excited for it. Like this is going to be a great.
I want to see. I think I've only seen like one preview page from Queen in Black, and I think I want to see Beta Ray Bill and Hercules in the same book, and I think we're going to get something like that because I think Beta Ray Bill gets called into action here. And Hercules, what the heck has he been doing? I think he's on Earth, and nobody remembers who Thor is, but Hercules is out there lifting buses, and I don't know. I guess we're going to find out, but that's what I'm like. Give me the two beefiest bros possible on the same page.
Like, my goodness, the early morning gym sessions with those guys would be stupid. Would be a spectacle to watch. But everybody, we hope you enjoyed this breakdown of what if Thor got Spider-Man's symbiote suit, this fantastic one-shot comic that we enjoyed very, very much. And if you enjoyed this episode, we hope that you like, share, and subscribe. Leave us a comment about what you thought of this issue. We would love to hear your thoughts there. And if you want to follow the show on Instagram, we have links in the episode description. If you want to go the extra mile and you want to get some early episodes, you want to get some bonus material from us here at Across the Bifrost, you can click the Patreon button. They're also in the episode description. But that is going to be it for us. We are about to jump aboard the Rainbow Bridge and get out of here. But before we do that, we just want to tell you that no matter what's going on, no matter what if scenario you find yourself in, no matter when, why, how, where, like no matter what question you need answered and whatever solution you need to find, we just hope you remember to do one thing, and that is stay worthy. Bum bum, ba-dum bum.
Ba-dum, ba-dum, bum.